Hey friends, Jamie here. Have you ever thought that maybe it's how you think about money that could be keeping you from reaching financial success and financial independence? In this video, we're going to talk about it. Here's a big reality check, folks. Your biggest obstacle may not be your income or your ability to save, but it could be a limiting belief in your head telling you, I'll never save up $100,000. I'll never become financially independent. And that's just the way it is, period. Much like our friend here. So I'm new to YouTube and I finally got my first kind of angry comment, and that goes with the territory. But here's someone named Nicholas something 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 964. So we'll just call him Nick. And he commented on a video I just made called How I Made My First $100,000. And here's what he said. Oh, so easy when you're rich. Rich boy with 25 eyes. Can't save 100 in 5 years when no chance to even earn enough to save. Well, am I going to say Nick is wrong? No, Nick's 100% right if he believes that and keeps believing it the rest of his life. And that's the point of this video. So thank you, Nick, for bringing to center stage in a very important psychological aspect that is prevalent throughout United States today. It's very much like the same psychological barriers that keep people from losing weight or quitting smoking. They just think they can't do it. They've tried anything, forget about it. This just is what it is, and I'm willing to live with this discomfort. I've made my peace with it. When it comes to money and stuff like that, this kind of limited belief thinking is what's keeping a lot of folks trapped. Because if they believe that from the outset, just like our friend Nick, that they can never save $100,000 no matter what they do, then the whole entire thing is dead in the water and they're never get off the launch pad, not even 1 millimeter, because they don't believe it's even possible. So in this video, in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to expose 3 limiting beliefs that are destroying your wealth potential, and I will give you a mental framework that separates the financially free from the forever broke. So let me ask you this. Have you ever thought rich people just get lucky? Or I'll never be able to make that kind of money I see some entrepreneur or some other person make? If you do believe those, then this video is either going to make you change your mind or make you very uncomfortable because it's going to challenge your existing thinking. But if you don't believe it's possible, like our friend Nick, then of course he's never going to take the right steps to change anything because he's already decided this is the reality and it is what it is. And I'm not going to throw Nick under the bus because I was exactly Nick 10 years ago. Angry, pissed off at the system, and frustrated because nothing I seemed to do was marching me forward in any way, shape, or form financially. In fact, I was going freaking backwards. And I realize now that a lot of your financial future isn't determined by circumstances, but rather determined by what you even believe is possible in the first place. So we're going to talk about that. What we got to do is remove your limiting beliefs. It's a belief that is keeping you from future progress. And when these are removed, you're going to start seeing opportunities that were always there, but you just didn't see them in the first place because your vision was clouded. So for this video, I want to go through 3 of the major misconceptions about money that I used to believe. Maybe they're not as significant as you might think they are. Limiting belief number 1. You just can't change your economic circumstances. These are things like, I can't make anymore. I just can't save anymore. I can't even change to my situation because the system is rigged or it's built against me. So for this part, let me ask you 5 simple questions that might make you rethink about that mentality. Question number 1, I'm going to read my notes here. Have you ever gone from $0 income, let's say you were like age 17 and you had no money, maybe $10 from your birthday money, to when you got your first job, let's say at Starbucks? So from the moment you had 0 money to the moment you got your first paycheck at Starbucks, that was at least a 1,000% increase in your income, right? Because you went from 0 to a few $100s a month. So let me ask you another question. Question number 2. Have you ever lost a job and your income went down to 0, but then you went out and got another job and your income stream started coming back in again? If you have done this, then you have proven you can recover from a 0 income situation, correct? Now, question number 3. Have you ever leveled up from your very first, like Starbucks minimum wage job, to earning more money at a different job? If you have done this, then you demonstrated that skill building leads to higher pay. And question number 4, have you ever got a raise at your job by improving your credentials or working hard and being recognized for it? If so, then you've proven that increased performance equals increased income. So if you answered yes to any of these, you've already changed your economic circumstances multiple times. And there's even a pattern to it. You did what? You took action. You changed your circumstances, or they were changed upon you, and your income became improved as a result. So here's the reality. You are in control of your finances, and all of this happened within the current economic rules and structure in the United States today in 2025. So here's another major limiting belief that we need to talk about. Rich people are either just lucky or evil. Now, I'm not here to tell you you need to love rich people. I'm here to help you get over limiting beliefs, and this is an important limiting belief to discuss, so let's talk about it. It's common in America, so I'm going to refer to my notes here, that most people, if you do a bunch of man on the street interviews, I've learned this from many, many financial books, they believe that most wealthy people in America are either trust fund babies like Paris Hilton, where they just inherit a boatload of money, or they stole it, white collar crime, for example, or they just got lucky. But consider this. There are actually 23.8 million millionaires in America today. But of those, 75% of those 23.8 million millionaires built their wealth from little or nothing. 75%. How did they do this? They are entrepreneurs, they're doctors, they're engineers, and in addition to those good jobs, they're highly disciplined savers. Statistically, most started with very modest or even poor backgrounds. They didn't start off with $10,000 or a big fat inheritance. They just started from scratch. In fact, only 20% of those 23.8 million millionaires inherited that kind of wealth. And of course, the common misconception, celebrities, athletes, that's what it takes to be a millionaire. That represents less than 1% of the 23.8 million millionaires in America today. Less than 1%. And then, of course, the conception that rich people are just lucky, that represents less than 2%. So the lucky break people, the lottery or whatever, less than 2% of the 23.8 million millionaires in America have got their wealth through getting some sort of lucky break. So here's the thing. Most millionaires in America, they built their wealth gradually and over decades. So I hope this demonstrates to you that wealth building is a learnable skill, not generic luck. Now here's limiting belief number 3, and potentially the biggest one on the 3 I have for you today. And that is this. I'm going to read my notes. Big money for like $500,000 to $1 million is absolutely impossible for regular people. Obviously, our friend Nick believes this 100%. So I want to show you what I believe an extremely realistic scenario to demonstrate how this is entirely possible using a very everyday scenario. Okay, so let's meet Jacob. It's a fictional character I created to use an example, but this scenario is not fictional. The scenario is extremely realistic. Jacob moved out or got kicked out at age 18 and had to put a roof over his head, had to make some money, so he started working at Starbucks. And he got a couple of roommates to help bring his monthly expenses down so he could even just survive. It's basically survival, starting out, right? So from ground zero, even just working at Starbucks, because he had roommates and he was super disciplined and super determined to save some money, he was able to save about $100 a month. Now, this isn't too much to save when you look at a lot of guys his age are spending easily that on video games or who the hell knows what per month, beer. He decided to save that money, set it aside, and started investing it right away using Robinhood app, which is really easy to download, and buying one stock, the S&P 500. But he did this consistently every single month. Fast forward to the next level in Jacob's career. Because Jacob worked at Starbucks, Jacob had his education paid for free, which is a statistical fact. You can see this on the Starbucks website. Arizona University will pay for a lot of the education, and one of those degrees is technology. So in this scenario, knuckled under, spent a few years, stayed at Starbucks, and got his education paid for free, and then he got a degree in technology. Now, also a statistical fact, he got an entry-level job in technology, making about $70,000 a year. And now, because he didn't expand his lifestyle too much. Maybe he got rid of one roommate or got a slightly better apartment, but he was still able to save a lot more per month now. So he went from $100 a month to $1,500 a month. If you're making 70K a year, this is possible to do. Now, this is where the wonder of the world, as Einstein called it, compound interest kicks in and starts taking effect. He continued to do the $1,500 a month for 30 years. Now, 30 years is a long ass time. And most of the time, especially working in tech, he's going to get raises and raises and raises and raises. He's going to make a lot more. So this is a very conservative, safe estimate. But he continued to save $1,500 every month for the next 30 years. And he earned a very plausible 7% interest on his S&P 500 investment, because the past 10 years it's learned a lot more than that. So that's also very conservative. So to recap, he saved $100 a month up until he was about 25, and from 25 he used his free degree from Starbucks and got a job in technology, making $70,000 a year, and then he was saving $1,500 a month, and he did that for 30 years by investing it with 7% return. What do you think that number is? Well, I'm gonna tell you. That number is $1.86 million by age 55, which is quite young to retire, and probably would put Jacob in the top 2 or 3% of people that have that kind of wealth for his age in the entire United States. And now, if you follow the tried and true 4% rule, that means Jacob is taking $75,000 a year or so off of the returns from his $1.86 million. So he's not touching the 1.86. That's just sitting out there. But that money is now laying golden eggs for him to harvest. And that amounts to about $75,000 a year. So he can just live off the returns. And if something catastrophic happens, like a massive medical bill, or he wants to buy a property, he can still dip into his 1.8. He's just not. He's just living off the returns. And all this by age 55. So let's do a little fact check here. How did he do this? Well, he didn't do it by getting some big inheritance from his great uncle, by winning the lottery, by starting some viral TikTok video business. He did it just by working at an extremely common business, Starbucks. There's one damn near on every single block in the whole United States. So he had proximity. It was easy to go in there and pick a Starbucks, pick any Starbucks, get a free education, capitalize on that degree, and investing himself in some skills that he knew paid well and were in demand, and then put that money into the stock market. Hopefully you agree with me that that is an extremely plausible situation. You can work at Starbucks. They pay for your school for free. You can get a couple roommates, you can save money, and you can get a job that pays good with your free degree. And then you can invest it using a simple app called Robinhood. Now, maybe you think that's impossible, but at this point, I don't know how to change my mind. Let's talk about a third limiting belief. Not only that I used to believe it, but I see still a lot of people believe this, and that is called the demonization problem. There's kind of this strange phenomena in the US. I'm not sure where it comes from. I asked ChatGPT why this has happened. I'll get to its answer in a second. But to explain what this is, let me use a couple of examples. Example number one. Let's just say there's a woman out there who gained a lot of weight in her life. I mean, this happens to a lot of Americans, 5, 10 pounds a year, 20 pounds a year. All of a sudden, you're 200 pounds overweight. But this same woman, after many years of trial and error and adjusting and pivoting her strategy and trying many different things, managed to get all the weight off. She looked fantastic. She had this stunning physique, and she decided to volunteer her time, not asking for any money, to go to various corporations and speak to people that wanted to hear how she did this to improve their health. And then she told them, here's how I did it. Here's my before and after pictures. Here's the roadmap. Here's the plan. And I'm just going to tell you how I did it for free. I don't want anything. I just want you to be in shape. What do you think the audience perception would be from her? Do you think it would be positive or negative? So just think about that in your mind, and let me get to the next example. Imagine this other example. So imagine a gymnasium of high school kids filled with athletes who were aspiring. These were the kids that were born with athletic bodies, and they super into sports. And a former Super Bowl champion with the big ring and everything, volunteered his time to go to the school and talk to these kids in the stadium and to inspire them, to tell them exactly what it takes to train. What kind of coaching do you have to have? What's a daily schedule look like? What are these little things that this Super Bowl champion did over time, over years, that the cumulative effect got him into the NFL and got him into the Super Bowl? Again, what do you think the audience perception of this person would be? Would they feel positive towards this guy, or would they feel negative towards this guy? Now, at this point, I'm guessing you would imagine that the sentiment towards these two speakers would be highly positive. They would probably get claps. People want to shake their hand when they're all done with their conversations. They want to stay in touch for email or LinkedIn, whatever. But why is it that when someone succeeds in a different area, finance, someone who started with virtually nothing, someone who clawed their way out of breaking the paycheck to paycheck cycle, managed to save up a very large nest egg and statistically get themselves in the upper percentile of people that have saved so much money and are now or earning great money in interest from those investments? Let me ask you again, what do you think the perception would be to that person? Well, I bet you if you're thinking like I'm thinking right now, people would be like, oh, okay, whatever, you're a thief. You stole money from other people. Somehow you took advantage of others to get to your situation. You're really kind of a scumbag, and I have no interest in what you're saying or learning from you. Interesting, the difference in perception of different people just trying to help others, right? One very positive in the weight loss and athlete situation, but very negative oftentimes when someone trying to help people beat the game of money. So why does this happen? Why is there negative perception about people who are successful? I don't freaking know. So I asked ChatGPT, and here's what it said. I'm just going to read it. Financial success to a lot of folks means if you win, somehow I lost. So I'm imagining what it means by that is a lot of folks think there's this big pile of money somewhere, and if I go and grab a bunch out of it, then somehow other people can't take their money out because now I have it. And if I grab big handfuls and I glob up a whole bunch, then that's even more that other people can't take. Folks, it doesn't work that way. Money is digital. It's an infinite thing that could go up and down. You can make wealth out of nowhere, like starting your own business and things like that. You're not taking it out of someone else's wallet if you happen to make more. The other thing ChatGPT said is it's calling it the media narrative, meaning rich people are often portrayed as villains while athletes are heroes. I can't say that's not true. I just watched this year The Brutalist, so it had some very wealthy people in there that sponsored this architect. And of course, by the end of the movie, the people were proven to be vile, cruel, horrible human beings who don't deserve to live on the planet. So this is pervasive. It happens in almost every single movie you ever see. Rich people are scum. Folks who are economically challenged are the heroes. Why this is so popular in Hollywood, who the hell knows? But here's why this hurts you. I'm not trying to get you to love millionaires. I'm trying to understand how this belief is actually limiting and hindering your financial success. Because if you believe that wealth equals evil deep in your brain, then all these psychological barriers are going to keep you from even pursuing financial success or stability at all. But here's the irony of it. You can't really hate what you want to become. And when I say you want to become, almost everyone wants to make a little more money because it's just really hard to live without it. So one of the greatest examples of getting over limiting beliefs, I'm going to call it the Roger Bannister effect. What does this mean? Believe it or not, before 1954, experts said that absolutely no human being could ever run a 4-minute mile. Why? They just believed the human body wasn't built for it. It was just an impossible thing. Only cheetahs can do it or whatever. But then Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile. And since that time, there's been a flood of people that have broken the 4-minute mile, including high school kids. So what the hell happened? What changed? The barrier was mental, not physical, right? This is possible. And I'm laying out for you step by step with detail how I did it. So what? So you can believe this is possible. It's important for you to believe this is possible, because if you don't believe it's possible, you're never going to get off the launch pad. So this one's interesting because I actually have a friend a couple of friends who asking me for financial advice. They know I've learning the hard way, learning through the bloody streets how to do this. I never got a financial advisor degree or nothing like that. So folks come to me. And there's this gal I know who told me every time I talk to her how pissed off she is because it's just not fair. She's very angry at the system, saying that it's just rigged, it's against us, you just can't get ahead no matter what you do. So I finally gave her some advice and I said, my friend, think about it this way. First of all, you are not wrong to try to improve the system, okay? Let's go back in time to about the 1800s under Teddy Roosevelt. Working conditions during that time period were absolutely horrendous. If you worked at a factory, they paid you almost nothing. The working conditions have improved dramatically since the 1800s. It's pretty good. So when are you going to say it's time to stop trying to improve the mousetrap by being angry and fighting legislation and put some mousetraps out to catch some mice, right? So when you put all your energy into trying to change the system and fight the system, you're not wrong, but that's energy you're not using to play the game the way the rules are written now to save that money and invest and get yourself ahead as fast as you can. So I would encourage you to do the latter because this is a game, and I call it a game. It's like a game. There are certain rules, right? It's like chess or anything else. Can you become world champion in chess by following the rules? Of course you can. How about playing tennis? Of course you can. You can't just do whatever you want in tennis and win. There are rules to the way the economic system works in America today, and you can succeed wildly by playing within those rules unless you put all your energy into trying to fight and change the rules, which is a good thing. But then who loses in the long run? Kind of you, because you didn't do what you got to do to master the rules of the economic game and learn how to thrive and succeed within those boundaries. Because unlike tennis or chess, the financial game, you're born into it, like it or not. The second you're born in the United States and become a legal adult, you're playing the game, whether you want to play the game or not. So that is even more reason to support why you should try to learn. And when people like me are volunteering their time and not getting paid a cent to do this, listen, I don't get mad at us. So I have kind of like a roadmap here to address this problem, and I'm going to call it the mindset transformation process. So there's a few steps here. I'm just going to read my notes so I make sure I get them all. Step one, you have to acknowledge your current limiting beliefs without judgment. Okay, we all have them. I had them. If you take these things with too much weight, it's going to keep you from doing what you have to do to move things forward. You're going to think, I can't do it, forget it, F it, it's all broken, so why try? And that's what we want to avoid. Step two, examine the evidence. Have you already changed your circumstances in your own life? I mean, it's one thing to believe me or not believe me, but look at your own life. Have you gotten raises? Have you moved to where the jobs are better? Have you gotten a certification in whatever it is? Let's just even say electrician, being an electrician, being a journeyman, and all of a sudden you're making double. Have you become a nurse when you were working as a cocktail waitress for 5 years and then doubled your money that way? If you have any evidence like that, then you should start to believe that you do have control of your economic situation. So here's step three. Try to study the success stories of people who started where you are. You know, a lot of folks, what was it, 23.8 million millionaires in America, they have started with almost nothing. Step four, I believe you should focus your energy on skill building, understanding how the financial game works, and learning how to succeed within that game and start scoring some points and getting some points on the scoreboard, as opposed to trying to fight the system and argue with the refs every single game saying, why are you blowing your whistle? You shouldn't be so hard on this. We should have only a 1 yard penalty, not a 10 yard penalty. We should have 6 timeouts, not 2 timeouts. You're going to spend a lifetime trying to do that, changing the rules of the game the entire time, never having 1 point on the scoreboard. We want to get these points in the scoreboard because, anger and frustration is very natural. I felt it. Our friend Nick is feeling it now, but that's not going to put any money in your checking account. Okay. But this will. I'm calling it the compound effect. So what this is small mindset shifts are creating massive long-term results. So a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. Now, another thing I have for you today, I'm calling your belief audit action plan. So do this for me, please. Week 1, write down every time you have a limiting belief about money. Now, I only talked about 3. Boy, there could be a hell of a lot more than that. So try to train yourself to identify a limiting belief. This is that little voice in your head saying, oh, I can't do this because X, Y, Z. Write them down and then see if it's true. I mean, sometimes it's true. Like if I had a limiting belief, say I can never jump unassisted 30 feet in the air, it is just true. I can't. But so many limiting beliefs are not like that, which leads me to week 2. Look at all your beliefs you wrote down, all your limiting beliefs, right? And then I want you to find 3 examples of people who have proved it wrong. This shouldn't be too hard to do. For example, I can never buy my first house. Okay. Find 3 examples of people who bought their first house. I can never save up my first $1 million. Well, find 3 examples of people who have saved up their first $1 million starting with 0. Learn from them. Success leaves clues. So you don't have to reinvent wheels here. You just need to see how other people have done it and then model after their success. So for week 3, I want you to identify 1 financial skill that you can improve this month. I'll give you some ideas. How do I make more money? Well, there is a formula for this. You can analyze the marketplace, get on LinkedIn or Indeed.com or whatever, use AI to help you do this, use the Google search and say what jobs are in demand, high in demand over the next 10 years. Second thing you do is look at those jobs and decide what do I have a background for. If you already have a background in medical, maybe it makes sense for you to go into this new emerging medical field, whatever that is. And the third thing is you might have to move to where the work is. A lot of folks don't want to do this. So right there, I'm giving you 3 examples of how to make more money. Another one, financial skill could be absolute super duper basics of investing. What the hell is stock even and how do I do it? Those are just some ideas. But now to month 1, start taking some concrete action with your newfound knowledge towards a more positive financial position. Okay. If you're in some dead end job, you know they're not going to give you a raise, just do something to think about maybe a different career choice for you, maybe a certification you could get on the side, something. By month 3 now, this is key. You want to try to measure your successes if you have, and hopefully you have some at this time. Why is this? Because when humans see evidence of something working, that is the number 1 way to crush limiting beliefs. And measuring those with whatever you want to use, a spreadsheet or whatever, is going to be key to getting you into the right mindset to know that you can do this in your sleep. So let me wrap up this video with some calls to action. The promise has been delivered. You now understand the psychological barriers keeping you broke. Okay, I laid a few out. Here's the reality check. Information without action is kind of just entertainment. So try to follow what I've done and showed you here to start moving the needle forward and just stamping out and crushing those horrible limiting beliefs for good. Thanks again. Like and subscribe if this was valuable to you, and I'll see you in the next video. Jamie out.